So based out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, you'll hear from my accent that I'm originally from Australia, came here in 2019, now into our fourth year operating Skillion. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, so what is this? I'll start with the problem. How do we increase our revenues? How do we grow the company? And that's what I want 1 Million Cups your help with. So what do? We do software development and we do engineering. Another way to perhaps break that down is to say on the software side, we do software development, which includes apps and website portals. We don't generally do just the really simple websites. We usually do content management systems and portals and things like that. And we also do AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, modeling. And I'm going to show you one of the products which does all that stuff. So if you've got lots of questions, let's get through that, and then maybe there'll still be some more. We also do, as part of this, and it kind of wraps up everything we do into a product. And often products need electronics design, they need firmware development, they need engineering, they need software. And I'm going to show you a product right now which explains that. So this is one of the products that we've been developed. It's called Hawkeye. This is a rendering because the product is still in development. And what it does is it fits to the back of a bike and it sends information about the hazards that are approaching someone who's riding on the road. So if you're riding on the road and you don't know what's behind you, you haven't got a mirror, or you're not looking, or you're just riding normally, this will tell you that there's something coming, and it will display that graphically on your phone if you have it mounted. So this is the product design. It also has a light, multiple cameras. We won't get into too many details, but I do want you to know what that is. So we do that product design. We also do a thing called systems engineering, which I could talk a long time about. I mean, you can be certified in that. I'm not certified, but I have a long history in it. Systems engineering is sort of how you bring a whole product together. And we often find that our clients don't really have much of an idea about what systems engineering is. In summary, it's about making sure that when you get to the end, you're getting what you were expecting. And there's a lot of details that go into that. So that's a breakout of the product, sort of talks a little bit about systems engineering. We do detailed mechanical engineering, and this is one of the drawings of the same product in that exploded view, and you can see the details of the drawing there. We do electronics and firmware design. So electronics design, I think you're probably familiar with. You'll see our little logo down the bottom here. It's one of our boards. It's the insides of that product there. You can see the multiple cameras. There's two that aren't fitted. This is the light that operates. And so we do the electronics board design and firmware. So firmware is the software that goes onto the electronics. And then we do software development. And I think this little video sort of explains the software. So that's an app running on an Android phone. And there you can see sort of kind of if you've ever watched a Tesla video of their AI doing it. So there's a lot of work that goes into developing the software. I might let that run just one more time because it was very, very brief. I apologize for that. So we have set this up as a camera with a bit of stock video, and then there's the software being moved from the camera, doing the AI and stuff, and then moving the results onto the phone. So that's what you would see. You wouldn't see all those developer mode details. You just see the cars moving around. So we do that. Why do we think we're special? We do end-to-end development. There's a lot of people out there that just do like a slice of it. They might say, yeah, we do JavaScript development, or we do this, or we do that. We take on the complete system. We are located here in the northeast of United States, and that is our area. And we believe that it really helps to be close to our customers. So that means we can go and visit, they can visit us. And we can have face-to-face conversations, so we're not overseas somewhere trying to sort of lobby into the United States. We have a long history of success. I mean, I've been in engineering since the 80s, worked on many, many projects in engineering and systems engineering and product development. I worked for Nokia and Qantas and a few other big names before I started my own stuff. And we have success in our companies. I can talk about some particular customers that we have right now. And I think we also guide our customers to a business result. So part of that systems engineering is making sure that when we've spent all that money and delivered that product, that it is actually a business result. So we get in and we act to help make that happen. So how do we operate? We develop software and project engineering, and on top of that, we do project and program management, which means we help to drive the project forward. It's not just about, okay, we'll do a bit of software for you and move on. We drive the whole project forward. We also offer fractional CTO services. So we can come in and say, okay, you don't have a development team. We can work with your executive team and make sure that you're getting the full support of our team as a fractional CTO. Systems engineering, again, which again is making sure the product is delivered as described. And then we operate in Lean Agile. If you're not familiar with Lean Agile, two parts that kind of came together a few years ago. Lean meaning you're not producing any waste, and Agile meaning you're generally running sprints and making things happen very quickly with lots of results coming so people can check as we go. In summary, we bridge the development with the business so that the development doesn't go off track and the business gets what it needs. Some happy customers that we've had. CTRL Systems are a current customer. Last year, we worked with CTRL Systems do ultrasonic test gear for the aviation market. MedSign is a telehealth company. The Bertram is a building contracting company that wanted some IoT. QuietCat is a bike company or EV type company that wanted an IoT solution. Buy My EV is another EV company that wanted an IoT IoT solution. And I guess, how do we find more customers is the sort of question. That's me, top left. Both of my team members here have been with me this is my executive team. This is, we have obviously other staff, but these guys have been with me for 7 years now. Julian's based in Sydney, Australia. Chris is here in Pennsylvania with me. And we have a long association with the Lehigh University and Ben Franklin Tech Partners up here in Bethlehem. And if you want my contact information, that's there.
Okay. So thank you, Pete. Your business is extraordinary. You have a broad range of products and service offerings, and apparently a deep skill set to deliver on all of those. John, will you be our moderator today? I'd like to turn it over to you so that people can ask questions and talk with Pete about his business. Pete, as I said, we're going to be recording this, and you will have access to the recording, so don't fret about capturing everything that's going on. And so long responses are not required, because you'll have access to all of the recording. Enough said. Excellent.
So, Mr. Foster, John Rutenberg.
Yes, sir. I
go to work.
Hands. So, Peter, first, thank you, Pete Cooper. A round of applause, and thank you so much for jumping in today. Second, just to expand a little bit on what Ken said, my advice for responses is thank you so much. It's a great thought. Next question, please. So the less time you answer, even though you may want to defend something or say you're already doing it, and that's okay, keep it short so more questions can get shot at you. Okay, yeah. Melinda, you're up. Great to see you, and you're up first. You're on mute.
Right, I just realized I was being good behavior with mute. One question that I wanted to ask, just to start with, to get a better idea of where to refer you, is I realize you're in the Northeast, you're in Pennsylvania, but what are other things that you would say about your customers? Are they manufacturing products that require the software engineering and all these different pieces so that you can help them develop their product is there an industry you want to go after? And I don't know if there is really a specific industry. Is there a way just to put another little funnel of who you're looking for over the overlay of what you want?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Ken asked me that yesterday, so I had a chance to prime for this one. Thank you. I believe that we don't necessarily need big companies. We've talked to a few marketing agencies which have said, well, do you want 10 plus people? I don't think that's really what the issue is. I think the issue is that CTRL Systems only has 5 people, and they just don't have a development team. So we can offer that. So as long as they have a roadmap and funding to do some product development, it doesn't really matter what size they are, is what I'm trying to say, as long as they can afford to do this. The second thing is, I think our sweet spot is something like that product that I demonstrated. It has those product pieces. It's a tangible thing. It has electronics. But what I didn't show you is just how much is in behind that. There is an app. There's firmware on there. There's a website with a portal and an AI modeling kit. There's a whole stack of software that goes into a product like that. It's hard to express it in a presentation.
No way can you.
Things are where I think we can really help.
Great. Thank you, Melinda and Pete. I'm going to jump to John Foster.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Pete, I love what you're doing. I was curious on how you've acquired your customers to date, and kind of what you're, from a marketing standpoint, what you're doing.
That's a great question, John. Chris, who's my co-founder, has really just networked from one thing to another and acquired the customers that we've had. So that can take a long time and not be kind of at the pace that we need to really thrive.
Okay. Yeah, and certainly, I think from that standpoint, it looks like you guys are on LinkedIn. I would say fairly well. I would say that to me is certainly one of the underused tools out there. So just to throw that out there. I'm curious, and just one other question is, from a marketing standpoint and LinkedIn and other platforms, are you guys making extensive use of those?
Yeah, good question. So our marketing, this is part of it, is 3 parts. We have an appointment setting agency, and they do harvest stuff from LinkedIn, and then they try to set up appointments for us. The second thing is our website, which has just been refreshed, and we've got a bunch of advertising we're going to do. And the third thing is the networking. So that's sort of 3 things we're trying to do.
Okay, great. Keep up the good work, Pete.
Up to Ken. Back to Ken.
Thank you, John. So I get the sense, Pete, that from a business growth point of view, the kind of integrated consumer products, multi-level complexities, that's kind of aspirational. That's where you'd really like to go.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what's currently your bread and butter program? What is it that keeps the lights on, or has been keeping the lights on in the past? And the implied question is growth in that area potential, aside from the aspirational complex consumer products?
So CTRL Systems is our current customer. They have asked us to develop an app, which we've done. We've revamped their back-end system, which is the cloud stuff. And now we're working on the electronics, which is a device that actually fits to an aircraft for testing. And it's a test and measurement system. So we're right in the middle of actually developing that. And they are, in that sense, a great customer, because they do touch on all those facets, and it's up to us to bring it all together and make it work. And I think that makes us kind of stand out, because not everyone can sort of bring it all together like that. So bread and butter, I guess it's hard to put a nail on that, because we've had so few customers. But that's, I guess, the best I can do to answer that.
Yeah, we might talk about that a little more down the road.
Sure. So a question for you, Pete. Is your goal to be the developer slash engineering consulting firm, or is your growth path to take one of these products and just talk about the bicycle product, if I understood, right? This is a product for a bike that I can see a million uses for warding off potential hazards.
Yeah.
So, there are many applications for products in the safety world, going way back to what Melinda said in terms of original focus. And so I don't really know enough yet to presume that I could suggest, but the notion of focusing on certain products and certain, not necessarily industry, but industries could be, but core areas. So a bike product has a benefit in motorcycles. It might also have a benefit, for all I know, in baby carriages. I'm pushing the envelope for a moment just to make a point. So maybe, and you may have answers to are you a development slash engineering company, or do you want to be a product company that licenses the use of a product or sells a product, and therefore you're using your expertise to build 5 products across either industries or core social areas like safety? I don't know what else to call them, but things that people care about.
It's a good question, John, and it's something we address every year. We have a yearly planning review, and we still have aspirations to do both, and that tends to sort of, I understand the concerns that will come up with that, but all I can answer that is we're doing both right now, and neither one is dominating the efforts. We take a lot of what we earn in profits and put them into our own product, and that probably signals to you what, perhaps a preference. But honestly, we are right now we're really putting a lot of effort into being a development agency.
Okay. Well, one comment, and I'll recognize Melinda in a moment. You might need, if you have 2 directions, even though they're complementary and they're very related, you might need 2 people. Just a thought. Melinda.
Right. I'm finishing the notes. I'm putting the notes in the
Thank you.
You hit on a really good point when I heard product development. I come out of CPG marketing. It's the consumer products industry. And many times I have either driven or been involved with new product development. And in all industries, there are different ways for product development. And I am sure there's a product development council or association or something like that. And then you can start looking into niching that even more so that it includes the software engineering and everything else. I'm going to bet that you can come up with trade shows, associations, and other ways to reach out where you can be a speaker at a trade show and then do breakout sessions, where you can also look at companies that are in the stages of, they don't know what they specifically need, but they know they need product development. There's a whole bunch of stuff. If you, let's say, decide you're a product development company, that you can then put under one umbrella that will really fit, I think, a lot of what you're looking at. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Wonderful. Thanks, Belinda. Some really good ideas. Let me look into some trade shows and other opportunities. That's a great idea.
Great. Jen.
Thanks, John. Pete, great to see you. Thanks for presenting today. Apologies for being late. I had to pick up my children from their school without power, so maybe you should work with them as a client or notifying parents. Anyways, what I wanted to ask was, do you, and you may have answered this, but I'm going to make it a specific question. When it comes to differentiation, how are you different from other software dev companies? how do you work with a company? Do you embed your team for a little bit? Do you sort of function sometimes as a sort of CTO role and help them with their launch? Is that something to consider? Like, what's a way that could really help your firm differentiate that still keeps you in your lane, but might also offer differential value to clients?
Yeah. I mean, you hit on a good point there. It does, I do struggle a little bit with the what makes us special question. This slide is the best I could do for today. And, it's end-to-end development. We kind of take on the whole thing. We try to have the whole system in our hand, and make sure that we're working with the executives to give them the business result. This is kind of a strength of mine, and the way we do that is with these things. It's systems engineering, it's fractional CTO, it's lean agile. This is kind of my area where I focus, and I let engineers do the engineering. So it may not be a great answer, but that's the best I've got for today.
No, that's perfect. I think a follow-on question would be, how do you build up your talent pipeline? Because I'm guessing that's a constant issue you might be facing.
Yep, that's a good question too. We do use contractors a lot, so that when we have a need, we can pull in that person. We have multiple, I don't know, let's call it 20 or 30 people that we've used in the past that we know and trust. And then we also top that up. Freelancer actually has a good recruiting arm, and I've used that multiple times to get good people. If they recommend them, they usually end up being quite good. And then we have a process. And one of the keys to the process is that when we're onboarding someone, and when we're on a project, I talk to them every day until they understand the process. And that's the pace that we run at. And we do a thing called daily stand-up. So the onboarding process and the way we manage them through various tools that we have, online tools and video chats and so on, makes it work. So does that answer?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Ken Portnoy.
So Pete, I can't get off of one aspect of your business that really challenges me, and that is the broad scope. So I'm going to come at it from a different direction at this time. The difference between the client for whom you're developing the product that you showed us and the client for the airplane component, those clients are vastly, vastly different. And the communities where you may find more of them are very, very different. And so determining in a more clear way the kind of niche that you want to exploit, I think would bring clarity to your growth strategy. So if you wanted to get more airplane components from more airplane component manufacturers, that's completely different than trying to get in bed with innovative consumer product developers. They're not going to be hanging out in the same saloons. And so your marketing is going to be stretched into these very, very diverse communities. But if you were to identify a niche based on the successful clients you've served, that may help you focus your marketing and business development efforts into a place that's most likely going to fuel your growth. So that's enough said.
I agree. It's one thing I'm struggling with right now, and I think we're not niched down enough. I know what we can do, but I'm not sure exactly how to, as you say, get that niche really nailed down. I think that is a challenge I've got.
Excellent. Great comments. John Norse.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, Pete, what was your background in before you started this venture?
Well, I'm an engineer, electrical engineer, going back to the 80s. I did electronics design for the first few years, and I was picked up by Nokia, and they wanted me to do more management work. I ran an R&D center in Australia They took me to Finland. I was 4 years over there managing projects. Worked for a bunch of other companies back in Australia. You may not know them. Aristocrat, a gaming company, if you know anything about gaming, and server-based gaming. I worked for Qantas, did a $270 million program over there for them on the 747s. And then I left the industry for about 12 months and went and flew airplanes for about 18 months, and then came back and decided to start my own company back in Australia. And that's...
Yeah, I ask you that question because, you know, sometimes the best source of business are previous relationships you've had, or you can relate to people with your industry, like just using Nokia. I'm saying if they're, whether it's Nokia or another phone company or whatever, you can use your experience to relate and say, I understand your pain points or your problems. I have experience there. You know, we've kind of walked the same walk, at least for a period of life. You know, I think that would be a good opportunity. You know, sometimes the lowest hanging fruit is just some relationships that you have to either revisit or rekindle with people. And then also remember, if you've had relationships with those people in the past and they've seen the work you do, they may know people obviously to instantly refer you to or introduce you to. But, you know, I think with the, you know, the growth of all the industry that you're working in, it seems to me like going back to people that are probably just like you, but in different walks of life would be a good opportunity.
I think that's a great idea too. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. I've got Melinda, Jen, then this guy, John Rutenberg, has a question, then Ken Portnoy.
So some of the
Melinda.
questions just now makes me go back to my basic question, and this is really important. What are your passions? Are you following any of your passions right now? Because one of the things that I've always done with my clients is try to integrate their passions into what they're doing. So for me, I added garden club into my mix because I had never been in a garden club, but I grew up in my mother doing things with flowers and gardens and stuff. So, I mean, I always tell people, follow your passions. What are your passions?
Great question, Melinda. I know what gets me excited is when I'm working with my good engineers and they deliver some results, or we have a problem and we overcome it together. That's what I know gets my heart racing and gets me excited. I go to bed thinking how great it is to work with some really talented engineers. And so I love that part of it. And whether that takes me down product development or it takes me down systems engineering, it's always the interactions with my guys, which I love most of all.
Second part of that question, because I didn't really get the answer I wanted. And it's an old-fashioned question. If you walked into a bookstore, what section would you go to read books? Would it be, again, the product development and the engineering? Or, I mean, do you like sailing? Do you like flying airplanes? Do you like football? Do you just, I'm trying to be all over the board to understand what do you do in your free time? What do you like? And how can you integrate some of that? Because those are other people you know. Those are other people you touch, so that you may be able to start asking questions and learn more about some of these other industries. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. So I've read a lot of books on flying and aviation. I've also read some great books and have a lot of interest in anything kind of building. I'm actually listening to a whole thing on the pyramids and how they were built. So I really do like the process that people go through to make something.
It's cool. That's a great answer, by the way. Jen.
I know you were just saying your website has launched. One of the questions I have, you talk about services, which is fantastic. When you go to finish your website, and again, this might have been in your slides, I'd be curious to know if you went back and looked at all of your projects, what is it that they've delivered from a value standpoint to your clients? Did they save time? Did they increase collaboration? Did they accelerate? I mean, you have R&D and prototyping. Did it accelerate prototyping? I think there might be a lens where you're not talking about necessarily, I mean, you should talk about who you work for, but you should talk about what is it that you, at the end of the day, delivered and the value add that really would be relevant to them. And if you go through that, and let's say maybe there are 5 core things that always show up, and for some clients it's all of them, and for some it's different pieces. That might be a way to think about niche. I think the other piece that I think is missing, and I put this in chat too, is culture and values. So you talk a lot about agile and being your CTO and all of that. I think it's just as important to incorporate how you work with companies, as in which companies do you love to work with? Ones who are innovative, forward thinking, who value people, who value questioning the status quo, who are totally cool with giving you control over the technology agenda because they acknowledge that's not their skill set. So thinking about who are your ideal clients and what traits do they have, as in who are they? I might weave that into your website more too, because I think niches can also be, who are you willing to work with? Who are you not willing to work with? So just two different maybe lenses to look through, and you might already be working on these. They're just not on the website yet. But I think as I look at the website, those would be two things I would consider weaving in some way.
I think that's some really great stuff. I probably need to have an abstract kind of person to help me move through that. But I agree with you. There's some missing pieces in there.
Thank you, Jen. So my question, building on sort of the niche theme a little bit, right now, you mentioned earlier that you had involved in a product relating to airplanes. So, airplane manufacturing and manufacturing of airplane replacement parts and manufacturing of machine parts is really strong right now. Sadly, a lot of it has to do with Ukraine, but there is no doubt that economic sector is booming. And I'm not saying select it automatically. What I am saying is I really believe to build revenue, taking some of what has been said earlier, and when John Norris spoke about relationships, existing relationships, finding where that concentration is in those relationships may identify the niche a little bit more, and using your talents, whether it's on the development/engineering side or it's in the product development and sales side. Airline manufacturing is stronger than ever. And so I would just look, and then I'd find whatever the niche is, find 30 or 40 companies that meet what Jen said and narrowly go after them. Just a thought. I'm going to let Ken ask his last question, and we may be hitting on end of time.
So this isn't a question. This is an idea. I'm not sure it's a good idea. I participated about a year ago in the program for the selection of innovative businesses in Loudoun County, Virginia. And Fairfax County does a similar competition. They're giving away cash to innovative businesses. And so, for example, at the Loudoun show, there was a guy who was developing vertical farming facilities with light and water control, as well as the substrate for growth. It was a complex product. Another guy was developing a drone for delivery. And it wasn't, the little drones you see people saying, well, Amazon's going to deliver a package to my front door. This was a UPS truck sized drone for delivering a lot of stuff. And so he had a whole airframe and all of that stuff that goes into building that product. So my suggestion is that if there are competitions like this that are within striking distance, it may put you in touch with a community of innovators at the level that's appropriate for your services to add into those startups. They can offload a ton of really highly complicated stuff to you guys, but these competitions, and they're fun. You know, you go out for an hour, go out for a half a day and hear the presentations of all of these guys and get hooked into this a different community of entrepreneurs and innovators than this one.
That's fantastic. That's a great idea. Thank you. Yeah, tapping into people who are competing for, they're obviously going to go from there to building stuff. So this is really good. Thank you.
James, I apologize to you. I missed your hand. Yep. Appreciate it. Please, your question, sir.
Last one, John. We're coming
Yeah,
up
of
on the
course,
hour.
but I missed James. I
Oh yeah,
apologize.
no.
You're
I'm not
on
saying
mute,
cut
though.
off,
Yes.
James.
We'll be good. You're on mute, sir.
James, you're still on mute.
I don't
All
think
right.
he's hearing us. I keep asking him
Yeah.
to mute.
Okay, maybe
not
we can, okay. So Pete, thank you so much. Back to you. Can we have a final question? Jen, would you like the honor of asking the final question? Real quick.
Pete, you've had a lot of thoughts and ideas and input from our group. What else can our community do to help you?
Oh, well, this was a really great 1 million cups. This is like, if not one of the best I've been to. Thank you for having me. You guys were really awesome. Great questions, great attention, great lead up. Everything was really, really nice. I really appreciate it. It felt very, very professional. Look, I'm after leads. If anybody can contact me afterwards, whether they want to engage with us professionally or casually, we can come to some arrangement. But we're looking for business. We're looking to grow, and we need help doing it. So please reach out to me. You've got my contact details, and we can have a chat later on.
Excellent, Pete. That's phenomenal feedback for us. Appreciate it. Hey, real quick to James. I think you're fixed your mute thing.
Okay. My question is very simple. Businesses like yours are not advertising. I'm asking, where are businesses like yours advertising their products? And I'm happy that we have the company like yours here today, because I'm not sure whether the young people are going to create the businesses like you have, because these are the kind of the businesses that we need today.
Yeah, that's it's hard getting the word out there, and we have only just started revamping the website, and we actually are going to start some Google ads this week, and probably something on Facebook or now Meta to advertise. So I guess website, Google ads, and Meta would be the 3 ways we're advertising, or we intend to advertise.
Great. Ken, I'm going to turn it back to you. Am I correct?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
If you liked what you saw, those of us who come regularly get the most out of these events. We learn from each other. We learn from our presenters. We are going to have a great presenter next week. It's different. It's a high touch instead of a high tech business. It's Ashley Ivy from Eye Care Home Healthcare Services. Ashley will be bringing one of her business challenges to our meeting. Please block it off on your calendar. Come back, participate again. We'd love to have you. Future presenters. Everybody here who's a business owner is facing challenges, and we can help you too. Consider bringing your business challenges to 1 Million Cups. Consider the opportunity to learn from the collected experience that we bring to the room here. You can sign up at bit.ly/1mc-presenter to sign up to be a presenter in our community. We'd love to have you. We'll prepare you for the presentation. So if that's something that makes you nervous, we'll make sure that you have a successful experience with us. Central Fairfax Chamber of Commerce keeps up the best list of events in the community. You can see this public event list at their website at the top of the page. I want to mention one or two that are going on. I thought Unmasking the Threat, how hackers exploit AI to target small businesses, is a program that could be very, very interesting and very, very important for small businesses that have assets to protect. The Women Mean Business Lunch and Learn on estate planning, depending on where you are in your life cycle yourself and your business life cycle. This can be a critical consideration. As an ex-insurance guy and as a financial guy, I recommend attending that program to learn about estate planning for your business and for your family. So go out to the Central Fairfax event list, pick some that you like, go out there, meet more people, have more fun, learn good stuff. We are, as I said, volunteers. We are all volunteers, and many hands make light work. If you'd like to support what we do here at 1 Million Cups, if you've got a little bit of extra time in your life to provide support to this program, please reach out to us to become an organizer. And the way you can do that is type me into the chat. And that way we'll know that you're really interested. We'll have your name and we'll get back around to you. Help us spread the word. When we say follow us, we don't want you to just get information from us. We want you to share the information that comes from us to your community. And so hook up with us on social media so you can help facilitate this program and expand this program and help more people. All of our links are available in one place. Take out your phone, snapshot the QR code, and that'll get you to all of the social media links that you need to hook up with us, as well as the links you need to sign up as a presenter. Your participation in this program is critical to our success. We really appreciate you attending, as do our presenters. Pete's experience is not unusual. We are the best 1 million cups in the country as far as we know. We have the most regular attendance, the most regular events, and everybody who comes through here says thank you. So Pete, I may want to contact you for a short testimonial that we can use in promoting our community. I hope you'll agree to that. And we'll do that sometime down the road. That's the formal end of our program.